Welcome to the Good Karma Sport Fishing Podcast. I'm your host, Captain Ryan Van Fleet. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Shout out to the Good Karma Sport Fishing Rigging Crew number 1 and the new group, which I'm super excited about, the Good Karma Sport Fishing Rigging Crew 2. I just love to see what these guys are catching. I got some messages from one of the guys and on Friday, 4 nice big wahoo. Awesome day on that prefrontal on the full moon. Fish are biting really good, and he capitalized on it, knew where to be, what to do, and that's what it's all about. Super stoked. I'm seeing like guys catching their first personal bests, and that's what it's all about, is just getting better and doing the work, and the guys are doing it. Now, it's the best kept secret because of what I share and the resources. And guys, I'm out there almost every single day during season, and every doable day I'm out there as well. I've seen a lot of changes in the fisheries, and you got to know what wiggle the fish like on certain moons and certain like temperature changes, what they want. Sometimes they want it slow, sometimes they want it fast. You got to know what they want, and it's just like with wahoo fishing. Sometimes high-speed trolling is worthless, but when you're planer fishing, you're going to kill them. You just got to know when to adapt and when to change. So when to present a bait at slower speeds, when to go faster. Those are the things that we talk about in the crew. So crew 1 and crew 2. Now crew 2 is more advanced. It's new, and it's for the angler that is like looking for something more. Okay, so some of the members in crew 1 are ready for more. Okay, so we created crew 2, and that is we meet twice a month, and with that I do a really it's more in depth as far as what I'm teaching in there, and as well as some of the things that we're doing is we're going over migrations, when to be there, when not to be there, depths. Last meeting I went through and I'm showing them my trolling patterns for wahoo, teaching them what to look for on the Seymour map was the last meeting, and I'm showing them my patterns. I have some computer programs where I've got set up now perfectly that I can show how my boat trolls over certain ledges, how to work that ledge on a certain wind. So it's more in depth, in other words. So we, like I said, we meet twice a month with that group, and the first meeting that we do with it, like the first meeting of the month, is just in-depth teaching. And then the second meeting we do is, I think it's a week or two later, it's 100% questions. So we dig into it more. So I know that guys want more and they want their questions answered, and I want to give them that time with crew 2. It is, like I said, it's a more advanced learning. It's just awesome. So we pick a topic, and like I said, last topic we keep digging into it, because fishing is more than just a one and done. It's developing your style. It's figuring things out. You just have to keep practicing, and repetitive nature, getting it into your brain so you know how to react in certain situations, okay? How to read weather, how to read tides, so you know what lures to bring and what not to bring. How do you know when you need to go deep dropping versus when not to go deep dropping? There's just a lot into it, okay? So I'm super stoked about crew 2. Crew 1, I've been working on crew 1 as far as I want to advance the learning, okay? So what we're doing this year with crew 1, advanced level speakers, okay? With no pushing products and all that stuff, okay? The guys that I asked to come in I have relationships with that I built over the years, and I would consider these guys ninjas, okay? These guys kick ass. They're not out there in social media bragging all the time. They're not these guys are really good, okay? These guys are tournament winning teams. These guys work hard. These guys grind. These guys know the rigs. They've been doing it a long time. They fish some. We just had How You Reel and Tackle on last week. The comments that in the crew were like, I was going through the comments this morning on the Facebook page, and I was just like, wow, it was just an amazing meeting. And like I said, thanks to Captain Eric and Nick of How You Reel and Tackle, they really dug into live baiting with stingers, and it just evolved. It was just an awesome discussion, and the comments I got was amazing. It was just like the guys were like, and another. It was just like the resources that you're bringing into the group now are like something that most of you guys have to go to these monthly, yearly seminars that you have to wait for. We're doing it monthly, okay? We're doing it monthly, and we also have a private Facebook community that you can go back and forth with. So I'm super excited because Crew 1, I've been working on, like, I wanted it to be, I wanted more for it. So this year is perfect, okay? It's perfect because I'm bringing in speakers, like it's like an hour packed of information and your head spins. So the last meeting that we had with How You Reel and Tackle, the guys were left pretty much speechless because of the amount of information that they got and the nuggets that they got out of that meeting, okay? And the best yet, the calls are recorded so the guys can go back in and keep listening and reviewing and all that good stuff. So this month, Jordan, owner of Custom Rod and Reel, is going to be on. We're going to go through in-depth rigging with planers, stuff that's not out there yet. And there's like how to prevent failures, drags, in-depth stuff. And what's so awesome is that it's interactive and you can ask questions going back and forth. So guys have different reels. They're going to talk about drag settings. It's just not somebody up there like talking and like, you know, I hate those. I hate going to seminars like that. I want the guys to be able to ask their questions, get their questions answered. So that's why the interactive seminar is such a great thing to do. And I'm super stoked about it. I'm super happy with the way that the guys are developing, and it's just awesome to see it. So it's pretty cool. So if you guys are interested in joining any of the crews, like I said, the Good Karma Rigging Crew 1. All right, so the cost is $49 a month for Good Karma Rigging Crew 1. And Good Karma Rigging Crew 2, the cost is $279 a month. Now, if you want to be part of both crews, the cost is $299 a month. Now, we do have a pay in full option, which you can save a little money at, that you pay yearly and all that good stuff. So if you guys are interested in joining any of the groups, you can email me at goodkarmaryan@gmail.com. All right, guys, so I want to talk to you guys about tailing conditions, okay? So we're into it now. Starting to see some really nice color edges out there, just loaded up with sailfish. And with those color edges, there's just not sailfish, guys. There's nice wahoo. There'll be some cruising dolphin here pretty soon. Probably in a couple weeks, we're going to see our first early push of schoolies and all that good stuff. Some nice big jumbo tunas. So that's going to happen here probably around the new moon in February. So the last new moon we had some pretty good tailing conditions, and yeah, it's a lot of guys caught a lot of fish. Now, what are tailing conditions? Okay, so here's the best way to sum it up. It happens every spring, and April's typically the best time for this kind of stuff. But you know, March and February, with the way the weather is nowadays, you just don't know when this stuff's going to set up. So what happens is that's when you're going to find the sailfish, the dolphin, and the cobias. Yeah, the cobia bite's going to be red hot down there off Tennessee, alligator here pretty soon, along the bridges, all that good stuff. So that migration's going to kick in. They're going to be on the rays. They're going to be on some wrecks down there. So yeah, you guys know. I don't get into the cobia fishing, never have. If I catch them, it's by accident. They usually just swim up into my chum slick. So I'm not the guy to call to say let's go looking for cobia, because I don't do it. So they will stack up on the racks, but like I said, I'm not your guy to go cobia fishing, okay? So don't even ask. I'm just telling you like it is. So sailfish, cobia, all that stuff. They're going to be swimming on the surface, and they're just going to be waiting for you to, like, you know, give them a little dinger bait, throw it in front of their face, and catch them. So it's awesome fishing, and it doesn't happen like all the time. It normally happens like this, this time of year. We had an awesome color change out there in like 250 last week. The Gulf Stream was pushed in. Inside the color change, there was hardly any current. Outside the color change, you had like 4-mile-an-hour current, hard color edge, and that's where they were at. So there's no rhyme or reason about where the sailfish are going to swim. It was so funny. I was seeing guys in there 125 looking for sailfish in dirty water when in fact the fish were just outside of them in 250 cruising through. I seen that on a Jimmy Johnson's sailfish tournament years ago, where like all these guys were in there fishing in the dirty water, and there were a handful of guys out there crushing them in 250 with multiple numbers. It happens. So what are tailing conditions? And I have a blog on this and when and where to be. But what happens is we get those frontal systems that move through, and everything kind of relies on what the Gulf Stream is doing, where it's at in relationship to the reef, or what color the water is, what the current's doing. So what happens is you get those strong north winds, okay, and if you have a lot of rain with like we just had here, that really muds up the water in the back there. And so we've had a lot of rain. So when you have a lot of rain, it really gets it messed up back there because it is muddy. And with all of the grass that has died back there, the flats are just, when it rains and gets nasty, it's a mud hole back there. So let's set up a scenario here. So you've got all that nasty water down there by Channel 5, okay? And so you get a nice outgoing tide, and if all this stuff like falls around like a new moon outgoing or a really strong outgoing tide, then it sets up for some beautiful, it might set up for some beautiful tailing conditions. So what happens is all that water pushes on an outgoing from Channel 5. I'm just using Channel 5 as a example. Pushes from Channel 5, moves it. It's got to go somewhere, and it moves it out to the edge of the reef, okay? No, I'm saying just scenario-wise. It doesn't happen all the time, okay? So everything's got to be right. So like I said, soon after that, you're gonna, if that stuff gets out to the edge of the reef and you have a strong Gulf Stream current that's pushed in, okay? So what you need to do is you need to look and see where the Gulf Stream's at, okay? Now, if you're like down there by Tennessee Light, and you look at the Gulf Stream and you see that Gulf Stream is within 3 to 5 miles off of Tennessee Light, chances are is that there's going to be an edge down there. Okay, chances are, because that Gulf Stream's pushed in really tight. Okay, so you got all that nice blue water pushing up against that dirty water. Now there's a lot more to this, so I'm just giving it to you, just kind of like in trying to keep it really simple so you kind of grasp it a little bit, then you can build upon it, okay? So just keep that in mind, okay? So there's a lot more to this as far as the tides and when this stuff happens. So, but what I'm doing is I'm giving you guys just kind of a scenario of what to look for and when and where, okay? I do really feel that the best color changes set up down there off Tennessee, down the Alligator, down the Sombrero Light, okay? So what'll happen is, like I said, you're going to get a push of dirty water from the Gulf. It pushes out to the edge, and if the Gulf Stream is in close, you're going to set up for a nice color change, okay? And you got to have that northeast breeze, okay? So what happens is you'll have that north wind that'll clock around to the northeast, it'll push it in, and then you got wind against tide, and I got to tell you what, it can get really ugly out there, okay? But with that northeast tide against the current, okay? So even when the wind's blowing like 15 northeast and you got a really strong northeast bound Gulf Stream current, it can get pretty sloppy pretty quick. But if you get a nice day where you have like a nice 9 to 10 mile an hour wind and a strong Gulf Stream current, it's doable and it's super nice, and you're going to destroy them if you're in the right place at the right time. That's when the fish are. That's when you having that live bait will really make a difference. So especially if you're looking for sails, you can drift that edge for wahoo. Uh, you can do whatever you want. You can high speed troll along it. You're going to have the pelagic fish mostly on that clean side, whereas the sailfish and the cobia will be on that dirty side of the edge. Like I said, the one downside is that to all this is that typically when you have that really good when you have really good tailing conditions, it is nasty out there. It is nasty. It is rough. It almost looks like you can come in really flat water, and then you get into that. You're like, what the hell's that? And you get up on it. It's like you can almost go from like 2 to 3 foot to 6 to 8. It's kind of crazy. It's a really sloppy blue water, but that's how it works. I know some guys that were that were in the group, and this was like 2 years ago, and they ran into a color edge in April, and they trolled alongside of it with some halcos, and they caught 2 beautiful big wahoo on the clean side of it. But it was sloppy. But they made it happen. So for you small boat guys, I would recommend, for myself, when I have a 10-mile-an-hour breeze northeast and I know that there's a color edge out there, then I'll go take a gander, I'll go take a peek and see if it's worth it. So, but that's how it goes. You just gotta you might get lucky, you might have some nice wind, and if you are a sport fishing team with 6 guys, and you can go out there and rack up huge numbers of sailfish, you can get 20 to 30 sailfish a day. But like I said, you got to know when to be there, and those are some things that I like to teach in the crew on when to be there. And I can predict when that stuff's going to happen. I like to give the guys the insight on that are in the group. I really do pound that into their heads on more when to be there, where on the reef. I give them certain ideas on timing, what lures to use based on the conditions, what the fish are eating, versus I try to give them some historical inside look at my log books on certain bottom fishing species that react around these color changes and the current and all that stuff. So there's a lot to it. Okay, so I just wanted to give you guys some insight. Now, if you really want to dig into it, I highly suggest that you take a look at my blog. Now, I put those blogs out there. I spent a lot of time on them to give you guys some insight. I'm not a huge fan of reading the sport fishing magazines anymore. I actually had to unsubscribe to a recent one because I looked at these magazines for, when I was a kid, as to a place that I could escape. And mental health. And mental health to me is very important. So I opened up a magazine, and it was talking about like and all that stuff. And I got to tell you what, cancer is, it's really it's just devastating. It's my family's had a lot of heartbreak over the years. And when I opened up that magazine and I seen that about cancer as their primary thing, I tossed it in the garbage, and I refused to read that magazine. And I've seen just a lot of stuff in the magazines about general fish profile about the fish. And so my goal with the blog is to give you guys actual detailed information about getting better. Something that's actually going to give you something, a nugget that's going to help you get better. Okay, a nugget. All it takes is one nugget to elevate you. And nuggets are few and far between. Most of them are regurgitated now. So I'm working on when I do put out a blog, it's the real deal. I actually fish for a living. I don't do anything else. That's all I do is I fish for a living, and I see the changes in the fish. I know how the fish are adjusting, how the migrations are working, and what the fish want on certain moons. Some days they want a slow troll. Some days they want a high speed. We just came off of a moon where they wanted a high speed. All that high speed fishing is going to end once all that grass shows up. That's going to happen here really soon, sooner than later. So you got to have something else in your arsenal. And that's part of the reason why I have live bait fish, because it's going to happen here soon where there's going to be a shitload of weed out there, and it's going to be a good bite, but you can't get to the fish because there's a ton of weed. And that's going to happen very soon, sooner than later. I've already started to see it offshore. So you have to adapt. You got to like figure it out. You got to know. I mean, just don't. I mean, it's going to happen. It's starting to. I'm starting to see it. We've got about another maybe 3 to 4 weeks left of before all that weed starts. And if that water temperature warms up fast, we're going to see all that sargassum here again. Is that going to keep you home? Absolutely not. You have to learn how to adapt. You either need to learn how to live bait fish, you need to adapt to it, and just be ready for it. Don't wait for it. Be ready. Get yourself ready. Spend less time. It's so funny. It's like everybody's telling me they have like, oh, I don't have any time. I don't have any time. And then they start telling me about all the YouTube they're watching and this guy and that guy. And I look at them and I was like, okay, can you show me how to tie show me how you tie a haywire twist? Well, I haven't had time to learn. I go, but no, you took the time and watched 10 YouTube videos and where you could have sat down and learned how to do something. There you go. Time management. So how you like lead your life is totally up to you. But if when somebody comes to me and they're like, oh, I don't have this rigged and that rigged, then the first thing I'm going to ask them is, how much time did you spend watching YouTube? And they tell me. They tell me who they watch, how many hours they spend. And I'm like, okay, but did you actually sit down and practice? Could you have taken those 4 hours and went out and did some drifts and looked for new spots? Oh, that costs money. Well, then I asked them the question about how many times did you go out and eat this week or go to the bar? Oh, then they tell me. I'm like, there you go. That money could have went to your fuel money. You could have gotten better. So, I just funny to hear the excuses. So that's my rant. Oh, if you want to catch up on that blog, I'll put the link in the show notes. Again, it's how to catch mahi-mahi in the month of April. That's what the title of it is. I would appreciate it if when you guys go through that you share it, and if you're not part of my Instagram, you can follow me through Instagram, and then your Good Karma Sportfishing _FL_keys. And then if you're interested in joining Crew 1, join Crew 1. If you're interested in joining Crew 2, join Crew 2. Email me at goodkarmaryan@gmail.com. You can support the podcast by purchasing items through my Amazon store. It's the goodkarmafishingtackle.com, or you can purchase an item through a link through the blog, and that's an affiliate. That's just affiliate pennies that helped go to support Good Karma Sport Fishing and to develop some awesome content for you guys. And yeah, that's all I got. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Oh, one last thing. I want to thank all the clients that fished with me this month. Special shout out to Tim, the lead guy. Tim is badass, man. And for you guys that are looking for some lead, here's the guy to call. And he delivers, okay? Tim delivers. His number is 954-292-1797. He makes all sorts of heads for like trolling. He'll make you some sea witch heads. He'll make you he's got the guy to make the molds. I've got some awesome leads that I'm going to share with you guys. He's got some cool high-speed heads that I posted on my Instagram that you guys can purchase to make your own stuff. So if you got an idea that you wanted, like a mold that you want to make, give Tim a call. Okay, if you're a lure builder if you want to get into lure building, that's the guy. You call Tim. The guy is like salt of the earth, man. He's a badass dude and super nice. His customer service is really good. And I want to tell you guys, I don't get paid. I'm not a paid sponsor. Okay. I don't have any, like, Tim doesn't pay me to say this. So I didn't need to share that with you guys. I would have loved to have kept Tim a secret, but like most guys do, they keep their resources secret. But I don't anymore. If I feel that they can provide a awesome customer experience, and Tim is that guy. So again, his number is 954-292-1797. And one last thing is that I use various sea witches, and I support Freddie Collins witches. I use Stan Brewer's witches. And there's one more tip that I really thought I wanted to share. I know this is going long, but this is from Stan, and this is about the crystal sea witch. When I talked to, I think I'm going to leave it that for the next one. Thanks for tuning in, guys. And remember, anytime you're fishing, it's all good.